All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a massive split, a real fork in the road for how we think about artificial intelligence. This isn't just about tweaking algorithms. It's a clash between two totally different philosophies. One is obsessed with the past, and the other is focused on creating the future. And this whole framework, this blueprint, comes from over 3 decades of groundbreaking R&D by a singular pioneer in this space, Dr-Eng-Prof Yogesh Malhotra. So let me ask you something. Think about all the AI we're surrounded by. Gen AI, the big language models. They're amazing at churning through stuff that already exists. But are they really anything more than a super fancy high-tech rearview mirror? I mean, they're brilliant at telling us what's already happened, but can they actually help us create something truly new? Something that's never been seen before? And that question right there gets to the absolute heart of what we're breaking down today. The two very different paths for AI. One path is looking backward into the mirror of history. The other is looking forward toward a future that doesn't exist yet. This isn't just a theory, it's a powerful framework developed by Dr. Yogesh Malhotra, a true global pioneer, whose work over 30 years has shaped strategy everywhere, from NASA to the world's biggest banks. Okay, so check this out. This really breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you've got backward AI. This is pretty much all the AI we know and use today. It's all about digging through old data, finding patterns, and basically just getting better at repeating history. Then, on the other side, you have forward AI. And this is a whole different ballgame. It's not about data mining. It's about real scientific reasoning. It's not about predicting the past. It's about anticipating the future. A total game changer. So let's dig into the one we're all familiar with, backward AI. And yeah, when I say that, I mean all of today's AI. Your Gen AI, your LLMs, the whole shebang. It all fits here. Its main job, its entire reason for being, is to do the thing right. It looks at mountains of old data and just, optimizes what's already been done. So how does it do that? Well, it's built on this idea of best practices. You know the drill. Find out what worked before, turn it into a rule, and then bake that rule into the technology. And hey, for situations that are super stable and predictable, that's great. It makes things really efficient. But what happens when the world throws you a curveball? What happens when the past stops being a good map for the future? And that leads us to this. This quote from Dr. Malhotra just hits the nail on the head. Yesterday's core capabilities could become tomorrow's core rigidities. Just think about that for a second. The very things that made you successful can become chains that hold you back. You get so good, so optimized for the old way of doing things, that you literally can't adapt when the game completely changes. So you see the problem, right? This rearview mirror approach has some serious blind spots. It's completely changed historical data, which is just a fancy way of saying it's always betting that tomorrow will be exactly like yesterday. And that can trap you in what's called a death spiral, where you just keep getting more and more efficient at doing something nobody wants anymore. And maybe the biggest trap of all, it makes us think that just because we have a mountain of information, we actually have real actionable knowledge. And they are not the same thing. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, this is where the vision of forward AI comes in, and here's the twist. It's not about trying to predict the future with perfect accuracy. No crystal balls here. Instead, it's all about building the ability, the muscle, to adopt and thrive no matter what the future throws at you. It is a completely different way of thinking. And the engine driving this whole thing is a really powerful concept: anticipation of surprise. I love that phrase. Forget the perfect 5-year plan that's obsolete in 6 months. The real goal is to become so flexible, so resilient, that you're ready for the shocks. It's about saying, look, we know we're going to be surprised, so let's build ourselves to handle it, to even profit from it when it happens. And this is where we get to the core technical difference, the real nuts and bolts of it all. Backward AI is a master of correlation. It can tell you that A and B tend to show up together, but it has no idea why. Forward AI, on the other hand, is built on scientific reasoning. It's all about causality. It wants to know the deep down reason why A causes B. And once you understand why, well, that's when you can create something truly new, not just another remix of something old. That single shift from just seeing correlations to understanding causes changes everything. It changes the entire goal. You're no longer just trying to optimize the past. You're now equipped to actually create a better future. It's that classic but crucial shift from doing the thing right to making absolutely sure you're doing the right thing. This table just lays it all out so clearly. Take a look. The foundation for backward AI, historical data. For forward AI, scientific reasoning. The goal? Replicating the past versus creating innovation. But look at that last row, because this might be the most important part of all, the role of people. In the old model, we're just input providers, basically cogs in the machine. In the new model, we are the engine. We are the committed creators of knowledge. And that brings us to something that Dr. Malhotra's research has been screaming from the rooftops for decades. And it's this. Technology on its own is basically useless. It doesn't create value. The real magic, the real source of innovation, isn't in the code or the cloud. It's in the hearts and minds of the motivated, committed people who are actually using the tools. I mean, think about this insight from his work. It's so simple, but so profound. You can have the fanciest, most expensive system on the planet, but if your people don't believe in it, if they're not committed to using it to its full potential, it's just a very expensive paperweight. At the end of the day, performance comes from people, not from platforms. So the big question is, how do you get that kind of commitment? Well, this research breaks it down into 3 levels. First, there's compliance. That's just using a system because your boss tells you to. Then there's identification, using it to fit in with your team. But the real goal, the one that forward AI absolutely depends on, is internalization. This is when people use the system because they believe in it. They see how it helps them, how it helps the mission, and they are all in. And this right here shows you the massive management shift that has to happen. The old world, the backward AI world, it runs on top-down control and making sure people comply. But to survive in the messy, unpredictable, wicked environments we live in now, you have to nurture self-control. You have to empower people. Real innovation, real breakthroughs, they don't come from rules and regulations. They come from giving smart people autonomy and trusting them to create. And if you're still not convinced this is a big deal, just look at this number, 70%. According to Dr. Malhotra's strategic analysis, up to 70% of your future success, your risk, and your reward isn't going to come from just getting a little bit better at what you're already doing. That's the backward AI trap. No, it's going to come from totally new business models, which is the heart and soul of forward AI. This isn't just some nice idea, it's literally about survival and growth. So it all comes down to this one final question. It's the fundamental choice we're facing. With all the billions, all the brainpower being poured into AI, what are we actually building? Are we building the world's most incredible rearview mirror, one that perfectly reflects a past filled with all our old mistakes and biases? Or are we building something else? A tool that unleashes human creativity, a tool that helps us build a completely new, innovative, and hopefully a much better future. The path we pick right now, it's going to define everything that comes next.